And good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to a special Wednesday edition of the Regular Fan Show by the fans, for the fans, as I'll drag my mic actually in front of me here. Almost forgot about that. Apologies for no show yesterday. You know, life happens. These things happen. People get busy, but we'll make up for it right here today. And it's myself, Vinny Fredericks, my guy, Bruce Juno. Without further ado, Bruce, good morning, buddy. What's
Good
going on?
morning, my dude. How are we today?
Good. Not as good as you sipping on your what are you sipping on over there?
I'm
Balls?
sipping on my
Soda?
balls, dude. I'm drinking my balls, dude.
You're gonna have to explain yourself here.
Not sponsored, but
Not sponsored, but
yeah, not sponsored, but yeah. So
maybe one day.
yeah, who knows? But so yeah, I play video games. I'm only good at one. I'm only good at Rocket League. And so then I was like, screw it. So I joined this like Rocket League thing just so I was like, okay, something to do when I have no life. And then I proceeded to win said Rocket League, and they sent me 48 glass bottles of balls. I got
believe that's a real thing.
I got cherry cola and I got root beer.
I mean, like, does it taste good? Is it solid soda?
Yeah, it's pretty decent, dude. I mean, it's kind of expensive if you like buy it.
Yeah, for $50 for 24. Yeah.
Yeah, no offense, balls, but you're kind of pricey.
Kind of a ripoff, but
yeah, but hey, it tastes all right. It doesn't taste bad.
Yeah. I guess it's good for getting that energy, you know. Maybe it's a healthier alternative. Maybe that's why it's so expensive.
Yeah, it's so healthy with 56 grams of sugar in one bottle.
Well, as long as they taste good, you know, guess that's all that matters. But I had to throw that out there because what kind of person names their soda company Balls?
Balls, dude.
BAWLS.
Guarana.
Balls Guarana. Yep. So I don't know. That kind of threw me off. I had to get that out there before we dive into everything here. But it's been a busy week and weekend here, Bruce. Obviously, we talked about the college basketball slates last Friday for this past Saturday. Obviously, there's been some big moves around the NBA since then. Some blockbuster trades. I understand that Arsenal and Man City had a pretty heated matchup the other day. Yeah. So I guess we'll start there because this is going to be a pretty basketball heavy show. We'll dive more into the football and the Super Bowl tomorrow and Friday, previewing the Chiefs and Eagles. But today, before we get into a basketball filled show, Bruce, I'll defer to you here as our soccer aficionado. Tell us more about Stay Humble, and what that means to Arsenal and Man City fans.
So yeah, obviously, City's kind of been winning. Like they're the best team in the world the past, 5 years. And Arsenal's been, recently, as of late, they've been getting better, but they've been finishing second. And so the other day, this past weekend, they played City again. And so they played City earlier in the season. They were up 2-1, got a red, had to defend like hell for a long time. And they were cooking, dude. They were cooking. And then in like the 98th minute or something, City scored. And so it ended in a tie. And Erling Haaland went up to Mikel Arteta, Arsenal's manager, and went, "Stay humble, eh?" And then like Gabriel Jesus kind of got in Haaland's face, and Haaland was like buzz off and like all this other stuff, which is crazy because Jesus was Haaland before Haaland at City. But anyway, and so it's a big thing. They're like everyone's like, what? Why? Like, why are you doing that? What is the point in doing that? And so this game, obviously, it's highly anticipated as usual because it's two top teams in the Prem. And Arsenal proceeded to win 5-1, and it was pretty lit as an Arsenal fan. But they just looked great. Arsenal just looked insane. City looked like they couldn't do anything. And I'm not going to quote the exact chants, but the Arsenal fans were chanting "Erling Haaland, Stay humble, you C word.
Yeah, we don't need to get ourselves banned already, but
Yeah.
talk about some bad blood amongst teams. And I know that this is Premier League, not Champions League or anything, but you mentioned how Man City's kind of historically been the better club compared to Arsenal, but right now, I mean, it looks like Arsenal's got them beat across the board. They're higher in the standings across the Premier and the Champions League. Obviously, a big 5-1 victory. Would you say that this is Arsenal's time and Man City is started to kind of fall off a little bit here?
Well, Man City's not even in a Champions League position to be in the Champions League next year. They're 5th in the Prem. This season, it's kind of been Liverpool's season, which sucks because Arsenal is 2nd again, just to a different team. But it's cool. This Premier League season's been it's been really cool because there's teams, that are usually at the top that aren't. There are teams that are usually at the bottom that aren't. So it's a really cool season. Like Nottingham Forest is sitting 3rd. If you would have told me that last season, I would have been like, you're a moron. And then you got teams like Tottenham and Man United are 13th and 14th. Like, the season's awesome. I love it. Would I like Arsenal to be sitting first right now? Yes. But they also look insane against City. I don't know if it was just more passion because, defying the manager or defending the manager.
Have an impact.
Yeah. But this Prem season's been awesome. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Arsenal plays again today against Newcastle in the FA Cup, which they need to win by 3 to advance. But, it happens. I'd rather win the Prem.
Let's
see.
Does Arsenal play Liverpool at all coming up here?
We do play them again this season.
That's one thing I am intrigued by.
I'm gonna stop saying. I'm gonna talk podcast terms. The Arsenal.
Oh yeah, May 10th. Liverpool.
Yeah, it's towards
Arsenal.
the end of the season. It's like our 3rd to last game or something. Because I kind of want to go.
Yeah, 3rd to last. Yeah, do a live pod from the game.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. But yeah, it's so yeah, we're only 6 points behind. I mean, I say that they still have a game in hand on us. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, they still have a game in hand on us. So and they play Everton next. So they play Everton today, actually. No, they play Everton next weekend. So no games this weekend?
No, I didn't see any. I saw a couple, but not very many from this weekend.
Never mind. There's nothing this weekend. Fair enough. Yeah. So we'll see what happens in the Prem. It kind of looks like Liverpool's league to lose at this point. But who knows? Maybe there'll be some upsets in there.
You never know.
Yeah, anything can
That's
happen.
The beautiful thing about sports. Anybody can win on any given day.
Exactly. Right now, it's just the Carabao Cup. It's going on today and tomorrow. And, we got to wait for that. I mean, a lot of soccer. Soccer's awesome in Europe. So much soccer, and I love it.
A lot of soccer being played.
I love it. There's been big transfers. There's been all this other stuff. So it's awesome. It's awesome. I love it.
Hey, you heard it from the man himself first, Bruce Juno, saying it is awesome. Good breakdown awesome by you, buddy. I always appreciate your hard work in keeping us up to date on the soccer front, as of course that's not one of my strong suits, but you've helped me learn quite a bit over these first few weeks doing the show. So
you gotta get in on it, dude. You gotta get in on it. It's awesome.
Of course. Gotta get in on it. I'm working on it. Don't worry. I'm trying. We'll move on to the NBA here, as trade deadline is tomorrow at 3:30, I want to say. I know it's tomorrow. I'm pretty sure it's at 3:30. And let's move back a little bit here to where trades really started to pick up, because throughout the season, there wasn't anything too crazy. Right before the season starts, we see Karl Anthony Towns traded to the New York Knicks from the Timberwolves. Nothing too crazy. Golden State Warriors trade for Dennis Schroeder from the Nets. The Lakers trade away D'Angelo Russell for Dorian Finney-Smith. Then stuff really starts heating up. Starting on January 21st with the Phoenix Suns acquiring 3 first-round picks from the Utah Jazz. obviously in an attempt to facilitate some other trade, get rid of Bradley Beal, get themselves a Jimmy Butler or someone else out there. Then things really got crazy Sunday night, or well, I guess you could say late Saturday night into Sunday morning, about 12:30 Sunday morning, when a certain notification pops up on my phone from Shams, the NBA, news breaker, that I could have swore wasn't real. And I still don't fully believe it's real. His tweet saying, blockbuster trade, the Los Angeles Lakers have acquired Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis. And my mind just exploded. I still don't know what to believe if I believe that this trade is real. Until I see these guys playing for their new respective teams, I refuse to believe that it's real. But the full trade details are as follows. Lakers receive Luka Doncic, Maxi Kleber, and Markieff Morris. Mavericks acquires Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a Lakers 2029 first. And the Jazz, the third team in the deal, acquire Jalen Hood-Schifino and the LA Clippers 2025 second and a Mavericks 2025 second round pick. So, Bruce, pretty big trade here. Obviously, many Mavericks fans unhappy with Nico Harrison, the general manager, for trading away the franchise player. More than just that, the franchise itself, one season after carrying them to the NBA Finals. So,
yeah,
Bruce, obviously, basketball isn't your number one sport, but what was your immediate reaction to this kind of storyline? Because this is something that, takes over sports media for days on end after it happens.
Yeah, I don't think this like I think you could be a casual and you would know that this is something crazy. I mean, Luka was the Mavs, and I'd be very confident that 80 is not going to be the Mavs.
Nope.
It's just random because, right after it happened, obviously Luka was shocked that it happened. AD was shocked that it happened.
Yeah, nobody knew.
Yeah, no one knew what was going on. Luka went out when he got to LA and he was like, what are you going to do different when he's like, I'm here. You come here to win a championship, which is fair because they're the Lakers and he's Luka Doncic.
That's what he's there for.
But it's just crazy. Like the Mavs the next day after trading Luka proceed to lose by 43.
Gave up 50 first quarter points. That's just absurd.
Like this team, I mean, I hate to say it. I wouldn't want to say they're terrible, but I'm also very confident in saying that they're nothing without Luka. And it's like,
well, they got Kyrie and Clay.
Yeah, but I mean, Clay has been mid for about 5 years, and Kyrie, I feel like he's either dropping a 40 piece. Or he's in the locker room with a torn ACL or something. I feel like there's nothing going on. I don't know. I just feel like it's such a random team without Luka. It's one of those just they're just there.
Well, honestly, compared to some of the other Western Conference teams, I still think they're for sure still a championship contender when healthy. That's the big thing here. Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, they have their own injury issues that they constantly deal with. But if they're healthy and you roll into the playoffs with a starting lineup of Kyrie, Klay Thompson, PJ Washington, Anthony Davis, and Derek Lively, I think that's a pretty scary starting lineup. Now, they got some pieces off the bench that need to, pick up some slack there, like Daniel Gafford or a Max Christie. Some of these other guys certainly need to. They also just traded for Caleb Martin from the 76ers as well, traded away Quentin Grimes for him. So that's certainly another interesting deal. Try to get some 3-and-D wing depth. Got Dinwiddie off the bench too. But yeah, I tell you what, this Mavericks team, if they don't stay healthy, they're not going to go very far. And Nico Harrison, he'll always have this trade be attached to his name.
Yeah,
you will never be able to mention this guy without talking about the fact that he traded away Luka Doncic.
This is a terrible legacy to have.
He already has a pretty bad legacy. Before this, he worked at Nike and was part of the group that pitched to Stephen Curry on getting him to sign with Nike. And so this is all allegedly, he accidentally called him Seth instead of Steph in the meeting. They used a pitch presentation that was originally made for Kevin Durant. They didn't even make their own presentation for Stephen Curry. And then they didn't want to offer him a signature shoe. And that leads Stephen Curry to not sign with Nike and go to Under Armour. He also, obviously, as part of this Luka Doncic trade, he also let Jalen Brunson just walk for nothing. And now we're seeing Jalen Brunson as an MVP candidate on the New York Knicks. Yeah. So this guy attached to his name does not have the best history. But this is just a very weird trade for me because both teams, I think, got better in some areas but worse in others. You know, the Lakers, they're not competing for a championship with Jackson Hayes starting at center. Luka and LeBron is going to be fun to watch, but they're not winning a championship together ever. Luka will win a championship one day, but it's not going to be with LeBron. And the Lakers, if they don't re-sign Luka in 2026 when he has a player option, this is all for nothing. But theoretically, they're supposed to be better for the next 10 years having Luka locked up. So it all comes down to that. The Mavericks, I think they can contend for a championship this year and next year if they're healthy. Beyond that, no, you sold away your whole future.
I don't think it improved anybody. I don't think it I would say, I don't know. It's just so it seems so unnecessary. Realistically, I get it. Luka's a top 3 name in the NBA right now. You know, it's probably top 2, if not one.
If he's not the best, he's number 2 or number 3.
I was about to say, and so it's it doesn't make sense. It seems like something that was done that was forced, that was just trying to make a big move that didn't necessarily need to be made.
Make some headlines. Yeah, it
sounds like a Jerry Jones kind of deal.
You're right, because Jerry Jones would only get 1 first-round pick back for Luka Doncic. That's the crazy thing for me. Okay, fine, you got Anthony Davis, cool. They also could have had Dalton Knecht and 3 first-round picks. That was the original deal, and then Rob Pelinka pulled those away and saw if he could still get Luka for less, and he did. Somehow the Mavericks were the team with all the leverage here and still wound up getting fleeced. 1 first-round pick is just ridiculous. I understand you got Anthony Davis, but the fact that you couldn't get more than 1 pick for Luka Doncic, we just saw. We'll get to the De'Aaron Fox trade in a little bit. The Kings got 3 first-round picks back for him. We look back, Mikal Bridges, 4 or 5 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges. That's what the Brooklyn Nets got. The Utah Jazz got 4 first-round picks plus some pick swaps for Rudy Gobert.
Yeah.
And you're telling me Luka Doncic only nets you 1 first-round pick? That is absurd. It's just that is one of the worst trades I've ever seen in that aspect. Getting AD is great. If they win a championship this year or next year, okay, fine. You did your job. You won your team a championship. But
they need to win now. They need to win in the next 2-3 years for it to mean anything, or this will forever go down as one of the worst trades in the history of the NBA.
Generational players are hard to come by in the draft. It is not very often that you get a generational talent in the NBA draft. We just saw this past year, not that many generational names out there. The number 1 overall pick is a guy that no one really talks about, and the number 2 pick, Alex Sarr. And Zachary Ricochet and number 1. No one talks about these guys. No one cares about the rookies this year because there's no generational names. The year before that, okay. Dalton Knecht.
I just like watching him in college.
I don't know. He was great in college. He had some great games in the NBA too, but not a generational talent, at least not right now. Year before that, all right, you had Wemby. Wemby's an alien. He's the only generational talent in that draft right now. Brandon Miller's been solid, but he's out for the year. Generational players that you can look at and say, all right, for the next 10 years, if you're on our team, we are a championship contender. Those don't just fall in your lap. And the Mavericks just traded that away for 2, at most 3 years of contention. You know,
And I mean,
it's
realistically, like I know this isn't as big of a kind of thing, but like Luka's 25, AD's in his 30s.
I want to say he's 33,
I think he's
32.
31, 32.
Let's see. Anthony Davis is 31. Yeah.
Okay.
But he's
Yeah,
got
I
a
mean,
lot
I
of
know that.
injury history. You know, we
Yeah.
know what he can do when he's on the floor, but when he's off the floor, this team is going to be in very rough shape without Luka. And you know, maybe this goes all the way back to the finals last year and Luka's abysmal defensive effort, his, you know, his complaining to the refs all the time. I mean, when Windhorst went off on Luka Doncic after Game 3 of the finals last year, saying that winners go to this tunnel, Luka's with the losers in the other tunnel. Maybe that has something to do with this too. You know, maybe they saw that, okay, we got there and Luka wasn't the guy to get us done, get it done. Maybe they don't
You
think
think
that
Anthony
Luka.
Davis is going to be the guy? Like, he can't be the only one
At
in
least they
this.
have defense now, though.
I mean,
I mean,
true. But
Anthony
like,
Davis and AD and Derek Lively as your front court is probably the best front court duo in the NBA right now.
I mean, that's
But is
fair,
that
but I
enough to
feel
get
like
you to the championship?
no, I just don't see it happen. I mean, I'm also the guy that said, Notre Dame and the Lions were going to win, their respective things. But at the same time, I don't know. I don't see because Luka, you could be a casual and you would know that Luka Doncic is one of the best players in the NBA right now. You could be a casual and know that Anthony Davis is a good player in the NBA right now. But you put the two in something where they switch, who do you think wins that? Like literally if you dumb this trade down, you sound like a moron. And I just feel like it just doesn't make sense that this is something that was needed to be done in the
Yeah,
Mavericks
there was
front
no need.
office.
There was no urgency to get this done. If they were that concerned with Luka not signing an extension, then okay, talk to the guy. He never indicated to them that he wasn't going to re-sign there. What
Yeah.
they did was they kind of screwed Luka because he was in line for a $350 million max extension this offseason. But now he can't get that since he's no longer on the Mavs. He's eligible for like a
Maybe they didn't want to pay
240
it.
or something. Maybe that's what it came down to. Maybe they're, I don't know. It's not like they're tanking. They
I don't know.
don't.
It's just random. It's such a
It's so
random thing to
odd.
happen. I
It's
don't
one of those
understand it.
trades that's so bad you can't even do it in 2K. I couldn't even load up 2K right now and do this trade if I tried. But
Yeah.
somehow in real life, it somehow goes
Maybe
through.
you
So
can now
you're
because it
not,
happened in real life.
maybe. So you're not taking the Mavericks over. Let's go through the Western Conference standings here. We'll start with we'll just start from the bottom and go up. Golden State Warriors. You're taking the Mavericks over them? Steph Curry and friends?
Without Luka,
Yeah, but with AD. Let's
I mean,
let's
yeah. I would
Healthy
take. I feel
Mavs.
like the Warriors are in a weird kind of situation right now, so I
Well,
would take the
they're
Mavs.
10th
I
in
would
the
take
West.
the Mavs. Yeah, but I don't know. I just feel like
Phoenix.
I don't know. I feel like the team's just weird. Would I take
Phoenix,
more Phoenix?
Phoenix, we don't really know what's going on with them. They might even trade Kevin Durant. That's a
I
rumor
don't think I would
swirling
take
around.
them over Phoenix though. Like, I don't know. They have a solid squad. It's just like getting everybody on the floor at the same time seems impossible.
I will say that the Dallas Mavericks right now are out of the play, and they're currently the 11th seed in the Western Conference. So maybe that was another reason for this trade. They knew Luka. Luka was returning soon from injury, though, so I don't understand why they wouldn't have confidence that Luka could get them back into a playoff spot. But either way, new look Sacramento Kings with Zach LaVine, and we'll discuss that trade in a little bit. But you're taking the Mavericks over the Kings?
Yeah, I think so.
Timberwolves? Anthony
No.
Edwards, Julius Randle. You're taking the Timberwolves over the Mavericks?
I don't know what it is, dude. I just
Even
feel
without
like
Karl Anthony Towns?
I just feel like the Wolves. I don't know. I like the way the Wolves play. I feel like they haven't quite got it to click yet, but I feel
Well, they're
like
worse than last year.
yeah. I mean,
They're for
that's what
sure
I'm
worse
saying.
than last year with Julius Randle instead of Karl Anthony
Yeah,
Towns.
instead of Cat. Yeah, I get that, but I'm saying I don't know. I like the way the Wolves play. I like the way the Wolves play.
Okay. Clippers.
No.
You're taking the Mavs over the Clippers? Okay. Lakers. Luka and LeBron.
I'll take the Lakers.
See, I don't know. I feel like Derek Lively and AD could absolutely feast on that Lakers front court. They're
I mean,
starting Jackson Hayes.
but you gotta.
Jackson
Okay,
Hayes is their
wait.
starting
I need to see.
center.
All right, I need to see something.
There's nothing else to see. Jackson
No,
Hayes
no,
is the
no, no,
starting
no, no, no,
center.
no. Okay, I get that, and that's cheeks. But I gotta see something. You keep talking. I gotta see something.
All right. Well, if you ask me, I'm taking the Mavericks over any one of these teams that we've listed. The Lakers are where I start to get a little bit iffy. And let's not forget the Spurs too, because as we'll get to the De'Aaron Fox trade in a second, I'll just spoil it real quick. The Spurs did acquire De'Aaron Fox, so they're a team that is going to make a huge jump in the Western Conference standings real quick. I don't know. I would probably still take the Mavericks over the Spurs just because of experience factors, but the Spurs are going to be a scary team. Mavericks as well. I just that starting lineup, it just does it for me. That moves the needle. Kyrie, Clay, and PJ Washington, and then you add in AD and Derek Lively. That is a really good starting lineup with, I would say, 3 all-star caliber players. Kyrie wasn't an all-star, but he's all-star caliber.
I cannot wait for March 29th.
Is this when the Lakers and Mavericks
so we can watch the oh wait, no. I clicked the wrong team. I'm an idiot. I saw an M and I clicked the Memphis Grizzlies. All right, continue talking.
Man. Well, I know what you're looking for here, and we have to wait until February 25th.
February 25th, the day after my birthday. Yep.
There we go.
Of course, they make it now. Now, I guarantee they changed the streaming service. I guarantee you, it was not always on TNT, True TV, and Max.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if they flex that to an ESPN game. Just because you're having Luka face the Mavs for the first time. I wouldn't be surprised if they end up doing that. All right, let's keep going here. Are you taking the Mavericks? Time for that? Luka's supposed to be back soon. He should be back within the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
He was ramping up to return from injury. But are you taking the Mavericks over the Denver Nuggets?
No.
No, I'm not either. We'll agree there. Houston Rockets. This is an interesting team.
Yeah,
I'm personally not.
I'm gonna say no. I don't know. I just don't know. I'm gonna say no. Obviously, the Rockets look good this year.
Yeah, I'm gonna say no just because the Rockets don't have the experience. Same with the Grizzlies. They're solid, super solid.
Oh, you would take the Mavs over the Nuggets?
No. I'm just saying I would take the Mavs over the Rockets and the Grizzlies.
Yeah.
Because the Rockets and Grizzlies don't have playoff experience. AD, Kyrie have won rings. Clay's won rings. They were in the finals last year. Derek Lively played in the finals. PJ played in the finals. They've been there. This Rockets team, as good as they are, they're very young. They need to, just like Oklahoma City last year was great but young, needed that playoff experience before they can really stand out as a championship contender. Memphis and Houston needs that as well, but Oklahoma City, I'm certainly taking them over the Mavericks. But I think those are your 3 real contenders right now: OKC, Denver, and I would put the Mavericks in that realm, despite the fact that they're out of the play-in right now. But they lost a lot of games since Luka went down with injury. Now they get AD post-deadline. Same with the Spurs. They're going to fly up the standings too. So I'd say still right now, main contenders in the West, Thunder.
The way Portland's been playing, do you see Portland jumping up into 10, into the top 10?
I saw earlier, Portland currently has the longest win streak in the NBA at 5 games.
Yeah.
You know how insane that is? And the one thing that I've noticed they started doing is they've benched Scoot Henderson, who they took number 3 overall just 2 years ago.
Good.
He's their 6th man now, and it's honestly been clearly working out for him. I mean, they've been starting Anthony Simons and Toumani Camara.
All I'm saying is no offense to the kid, he's a good ball. He's a good baller, but he's a ball hog, dude. I don't know. I think that's a good decision, and I feel like it's proved to be. It's proved to be the way Portland's been playing.
Yep, and I tell you what, DeAndre Ayton has been balling too. Until the game last night against Indiana, which they won 112-89. DeAndre Ayton had 8 points, 9 rebounds in that one. Before that, he had 25 and 20 in the over. Did my mic cut out?
I can't hear you.
You don't hear me at all right now. You still don't hear me.
Oh, there we go. You're back.
Come on, buddy. What did you mute me over there? What are we
No,
doing?
I saw on the TikTok stream. I saw you talking, and then on the other streams you were frozen.
Okay, all right. So we're all good now, though, right? We're back in business.
Yes, DeAndre Ayton.
Before last night's game where he only had 8 and 9, he had 25 and 20 in an overtime win against the Phoenix Suns. Had 24 and 7 against the Phoenix Suns again in a 127-108 victory. Had 22 and 8 against the Magic in a win, and then 21 and 14 in a win over the Bucks. So on this winning streak, he's averaging well over 20 points, averaging, I would say, around 11, 12 rebounds. I mean, that 2020 game certainly helps, but he's finally playing like the number 1 overall pick that he is. He's finally actually going out and trying to, put the team on his back and playing with some effort. Look, on paper, this Portland Trailblazers team is not very bad. Anthony Simons is very solid. Denny Advia, on paper, yeah. When it comes to actually playing in the games, you see the big issues, but they have some solid names. I like Donovan Clingan, the big man out of UConn as well. He doesn't get very many, stat stuffing numbers, but 5 and 6 on the year, like that's solid. He's there for the interior defense, and he does a good job at it. Jeremy Grant still really solid. I'm surprised he hasn't been thrown around in trade rumors at all. Denny Advia is a good 5-tool wing. He can spread the floor. He can do it all. He's tall too. So they on paper are a very solid team. They're just young and inexperienced, and they needed they needed a guy like Scoot to come in and help facilitate the offense. And instead, Scoot came in and just thinks that this is still G League Ignite and he can put up 30 shots a game, and it has not been falling for him. But so across the Western Conference, like I said, I think there's really 3 main contenders, but there is room for a 4th contender depending on how good this duo does together. As we'll move on here, De'Aaron Fox finally gets his trade out of Sacramento, and he heads to San Antonio to be paired up with Victor Wembanyama in a trade that gets broken down like this. Spurs get De'Aaron Fox and Jordan McLaughlin from the Kings. The Kings get Zach LaVine from the Bulls, Sidy Cissoko from the Spurs, 3 first-round picks, 3 second-round picks. The Bulls, they get Zach Collins and Trey Jones from the Spurs, Kevin Huerter, local 518 product from the Kings, and they get their own pick back from the Spurs in 2025, which is big because the Bulls are certainly not making the playoffs. They're going to be a lottery team. So it's very big for them to get their own draft pick back. But, man, as soon as we got done talking about Luka and AD, we're all going to bed. We're thinking, oh, all right, we got our big blockbuster trade at the deadline. Then, boom, out of nowhere, De'Aaron Fox gets what he wants. And to be paired up with Wemby, man, that's a scary duo. Victor Wembanyama and De'Aaron Fox. Now you actually, I knew that when they landed Chris Paul in free agency, putting him with Wembanyama would certainly elevate his game to a new level. But now you add a 25, 5, and 6 average point guard in De'Aaron Fox. This team just jumps from being a bubble playoff team to being one of the top 5 teams in the West, if you ask me.
Yeah. I mean, the Spurs, ever since like last season when they got Wemby, they've been a team that's talked about a lot, but it's not always for the right reasons. And it's this could definitely turn their season around. I mean, they're 3 games out of the play-in. I mean, they're sitting there with the Mavs. They're sitting there with Portland. They're chasing Golden State, Phoenix, Sacramento. That could now, like, who knows? Like,
they're not going to be sitting there for long. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, this could really turn the tables for San Antonio, which would be cool to see because not much has happened since Wemby's got there besides Wemby.
Yeah, I mean, they've certainly gone out and attempted to build around him. And don't forget, De'Aaron Fox is only 27 years old, and he's under contract until he's got this season and then 1 more, and then he's an unrestricted free agent. So they've got the opportunity to give him an extension next offseason and try and, pair him with Wemby for a long time, but yeah, this, the Spurs certainly have been trying to acquire talent to help out Wemby. They acquired Chris Paul, Harrison Barnes, they drafted Stephon Castle, and there's some other good young players in there like Jeremy Shohan and Keldon Johnson. And they held on to all of these guys in getting De'Aaron Fox. They didn't have to trade any one of these core pieces to get De'Aaron. And that's a huge, huge factor in this trade that I think everyone's got to realize is, the Spurs were solid before. They didn't even lose that much and just acquired an all-star point guard. So getting De'Aaron Fox, I mean, that's certainly I think this makes the Spurs a contender in the West. I really do. I mean, I don't know if they're going to win the championship this year or anything crazy like that, but they are, especially looking ahead to next season, I don't know who they could go out and sign or trade for, but they're going to continue to improve. And I mean, when you already have a guy like Wemby, who's in his second year, a top 10 player in the NBA, you put some decent talent around him, he'll get you pretty far. The Spurs team is certainly playing with a lot of potential right now.
Yeah, and I mean, I still think it's hard to say that they're like some of these teams at the top of the Western Conference aren't, contenders. Like, I mean, I feel like I do. I mean, do I think the Rockets are a contender? Not necessarily. I think they're very young, but like, I feel like the Grizzlies could be a contender. Like, I feel like the Clippers could be a contender. I feel like the Lakers could be a contender. Like, I feel like some of these teams, like the Timberwolves, I know you don't think that but like, I get where you're coming from with like the Mavs and the Spurs, but you also got to realize these are blockbuster trades, but at the same time, they are currently out of the play-in. So it's, they're going to have a lot more games they got to get through.
They got their work cut out for them.
Yeah. So, I mean, hey, if it's done, it's done. Like, big ups. Someone absolutely just made the trade of their lives. But, it's really going to come down to can consistency keep up as the season winds down.
And you also got to remember, being in the Western Conference, it is such a tougher road to the playoffs than it is in the East. I mean, there's some great teams in the East, like the Cavs, Celtics, Knicks, top three, but the number 10 seed who's still in the play-in the Eastern Conference right now is the Chicago Bulls at 22-29. That's the same record that the Portland Trailblazers have, and they are the third worst team in the West. So even though these teams, like, and obviously that doesn't really make too much of a difference, because if you can't get up in the West, you're not making it anyway, but it just goes to show that, these teams like the Spurs and the Mavs are out of the play-in, but they're right there. It's just because the West is so competitive that right now it's so clogged up. I mean, there's 4 teams tied with the same record, same win percentage, and that's the 8 through 11 seeds. Technically, right now, the Mavericks are tied with Golden State, Phoenix, and Sacramento. So they have all the time in the world to climb their way back up in the standings, but it'll be a tough road for sure. Having Wemby alongside another star is going to be fun to watch. I'm very excited.
I agree.
I'm excited to see all 3 of these teams, the Mavs, Lakers, and Spurs post deadline here. I'm even excited to see Zach LaVine on the Kings, or maybe he gets moved again. I mean, he's a guy that I certainly wanted the Miami Heat to call in on. Same with De'Aaron Fox, of course, but still no Jimmy Butler trade.
Kind of off topic. I just realized the Wizards have 8 wins, and 5 of them are against the Southeast.
Yeah, you are right. Let's see. They beat Charlotte. They beat.
I mean,
Chicago's not in there. They beat
Charlotte every time they played them. Yeah, Charlotte's 0-9 against the Southeast.
Let's see. They beat Atlanta twice, but Atlanta's in the. They're not in the Southeast. They're in. Atlanta is in the Southeast. Okay, so they got 2 against Atlanta,
2 against Charlotte, and 1 against either Miami or Orlando.
Let's see. They got 1 against Denver. There's the 2 against Charlotte.
They beat Denver?
Yeah, they beat Denver 122-113. Jordan Poole had 39 in that one.
Oh,
they got a win over Chicago. So they got a third over Charlotte just on Monday night.
Okay, so they
124,
got 3 against
114. And then
Charlotte.
they're on a 2-game win streak. They beat Minnesota on Saturday, too.
I told you, bro. Ever since I
Yep.
said the Wizards are making a comeback, baby.
Yeah,
The
but they
Wizards are making
also,
a comeback.
I'm glad you bring them up because in another, I wouldn't call this blockbuster, but in another big trade, the Milwaukee Bucks have acquired the Wizards' Kyle Kuzma in a full breakdown of Kuzma, Patrick Baldwin, and second-round draft compensation going to Milwaukee. Washington Wizards acquire Chris Middleton, guard AJ Johnson, and a pick swap from the Bucks. So your Washington Wizards, Bruce, they were getting busy, but not having Kuzma, I think, is certainly going to hurt them. I don't understand why the Wizards made this trade. I really
understand
don't.
why the Bucks do. I feel like Kuzma's
Kuzma's
going to fit
solid.
in really
Middleton,
well in Milwaukee.
Yeah, Middleton wasn't doing too much for him anyway. But like,
He's
why?
old. He's
Yeah,
old.
why? What reason did the Wizards have for making this trade? I mean, Kyle Kuzma he's 29 years old. I guess he was, he has been in the league for quite some time, but he's averaging 15 points, almost 6 rebounds on the year. That's solid numbers.
Didn't Middleton just have surgery on like both his ankles or something?
Middleton has been very injury ridden as of late. I mean, he's currently listed as out, so he hasn't. He did play Sunday night, but he is dealing with some injury issues. But this always happens as well with guys that get traded around the deadline. They're not going to play again until post deadline, just in case. Like you're not going to see Kevin Huerter play for the Chicago Bulls until the deadline passes, because you don't know, he might get traded again. You're not going to see Chris Middleton play for the Washington Wizards until tomorrow night. But either way, Middleton does have plenty of injury history, and I just don't understand why the Wizards felt the need to make this trade. I mean, they didn't improve, they didn't get much better. Maybe it comes down to salary. Let's see, Kyle Kuzma. I think Kyle Kuzma does actually have a pretty hefty contract, and maybe Middleton they can get out of.
Middleton's got some, like, I don't know, like when he was with Giannis and Drew when they beat the Suns.
Mm-hmm.
Like I mean, he's got experience, but you need
but Middleton
team.
hasn't been the same player since then.
I mean, true. It might just be trying to do something.
I think. See, I can't even say that this comes down to salary because yes, Kyle Kuzma's under contract until 2026 to 2027 is his last year under contract. So he's got 2 more after this season, and then he's an unrestricted free agent. But Chris Middleton has 2 more years under his contract, and then he has a player option. So he could, or actually, I believe he has 1 more year under contract, then the player option. So he could very easily opt in for $34 million from the Wizards next year and then become a free agent after that. What did the Wizards get out of this? They get an aging player in Middleton who could cost them even more than Kuzma was going to next season. And they trade, I guess at this point they're thinking they got to rebuild again. And Kuzma's, past his point for this rebuild. They got to get even younger. It just, I don't know. It makes no sense for me, this Middleton Kuzma deal. I don't know. I don't know what to really make of this. And it's not that Middleton's a bad player. I think Middleton ends up being one of those guys that gets dealt again to a contender for like a couple second round picks or something. I can't see him playing the rest of the season in Washington.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just random.
It's so random.
I feel like, but it's obviously not the same as the Luka AD trade, but I'm saying it's kind of the same vibe. Like, obviously, Luka AD, blockbuster, going to be remembered for years. This one's going to be forgot about in about 2 weeks. But I feel like it's just as random.
Yeah. I don't know. And let's not forget, back in February of last year, Washington had a deal in place to trade Kyle Kuzma to the Dallas Mavericks. And Kuzma told them he preferred to stay in Washington.
Not anymore. He doesn't anymore.
Exactly. I don't. And again, his contract was dropping. They're paying him 23 million this season. That drops to 21 and then to 19 in the final year of his deal. His contract goes down. So why? Maybe the Wizards are explicitly trying to cut cap space for that 2026 offseason. Maybe the plan is that Chris Middleton will not opt into his player option because, granted, who would want to play in Washington? I mean, $34 million is a pretty, what's the word? Pretty convincing number. But who would
Yeah.
really want to play in Washington? So I bet you the Wizards are hoping that Middleton opts out and they can go into that 2026 free agency period, which is a very popular one. That's when Luka is going to be a free agent. De'Aaron Fox will be a free agent. Plenty of guys that could be on the move. That's the year to have plenty of cap space. So maybe that's the plan here for the Wizards, but I don't know. It's a very random trade, not one I expected at all. But this doesn't really move the needle for me at all either. Like
It's just teams trying to make moves. Like
yeah, Kyle
especially with
Kuzma does not make the
Washington.
Bucks much better.
I mean, I agree. Like that's what I'm saying. It's just, I don't know. I feel like it's probably the Bucks thinking they need to do something, like something not necessarily big, but like they need something, and then it's the Wizards knowing they need to do everything.
Yeah, they need to do whatever they can get.
Yeah, they need to.
Sitting at 8 and
They need to
41.
They need to give up everybody.
You gotta feel bad for Chris Middleton to get traded from the team that you wanted. That one you spent your whole career pretty much with, won a championship with, and are fifth in the Eastern Conference, and then they trade you down to a team that has 8 wins total on the year. That's got to be brutal. That's why I don't see Middleton playing a single game for them. There's got to be another contender out there that is willing to take on Middleton's contract and thinks he can provide them something. But nobody's trading more than a couple second round picks, maybe at most a first.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time,
but
like, is that even, I was gonna say, is it? No, I just didn't want to cut you off. Is anybody like? He's been so injury prone. He's kind of been in a slump. He's been going downhill. Is there somebody else that's going to want him?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like,
I mean,
realistically,
out of all the teams that are out there that could want him, I mean, I guess specifically looking at contenders, because no one's going to trade for him if they're not competing for a championship. I mean, maybe the Nuggets look at him, but I don't really see that happening. Maybe the Lakers would look at him. I don't know. I don't really know where he'd be a good fit, but there's no shot he stays in Washington. He's still at least decent enough and has the experience that he'll provide something for a contending team, but it all depends on who's willing to take on that contract. Maybe there's a team out there that wants to dump some salary and give an expiring contract to the Wizards, but I don't know. I don't really see much coming out of this trade. It's just one of those deals. I mean, we are having a good deadline. I will say that. Like, it's a trade I didn't expect to happen, and I think those are the best deadlines. I mean, the Luka AD trade automatically makes this one of the best trade deadlines we've had in years past, especially because that was so out of nowhere. Like nobody knew that was happening. There was no rumors. There was no, tweets about, oh, Luka is being shot by the Mavs. No, oh, AD might be on the move. No, it just out of nowhere it happened. And I feel like that's the best kind of trades where they just come out of nowhere and everybody, can just react to it. You're not thinking about it. Like De'Aaron Fox, we knew he was getting traded. We knew it for days that the Spurs were one of his top priority picks. So when he gets traded there, it's not that big of a surprise. But when Luka gets traded to the Lakers, everyone's losing their mind because nobody had any idea what was going to happen. And I think another thing that a lot of people aren't discussing with that deal, LeBron James had no implication on this at all. He didn't even know about this. He had nothing to do with this trade.
Allegedly.
And well, yeah, allegedly. But honestly, I believe it because I don't think LeBron would want to trade his guy AD. They were tight. But
that's true.
The fact that, as I'm dropping things over here, the fact that the Lakers did this without even consulting LeBron, that tells me that they realize that LeBron has maybe 1 or 2 years left where he's really going to play at a high level. And eventually they have to look beyond him And they're not thinking about winning another ring with LeBron. They're worried about how are they going to win a ring without LeBron after he retires. So that's what that tells me, is that LeBron at this stage of his career doesn't have the same pull that he used to, because teams can't bank on, oh, we'll have LeBron, we'll be a championship contender for the next 5 years. Well, Lakers have had LeBron. They haven't been in the finals since 2020. So they got to start looking past the LeBron James era out in LA. But crazy trade deadline, crazy stuff going on.
Yeah.
Still some time. We have until tomorrow at around 3:30 to
Celtics
see
just
if
made
Jimmy
a trade.
Butler. Did they really?
Yeah.
Shots
Jaden
tweeted?
Springer and their 2030 second round pick to Houston. Both teams are also exchanging heavily protected second rounders. I can't find any more details as of right now.
Yeah, I mean that literally just broke 5 minutes ago.
It's
Nothing, not a real needle mover, but it is still a trade. So I mean, these are the things that happen around this time of year.
Trades are trades.
Mm-hmm. And it's just more for us to talk about. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's a solid trade from the Celtics. They're a team that usually makes very smart deals. They don't rush anything. They make deals when they know it benefits them. So
yeah,
not really, it doesn't move the needle too much for me, but I'm sure it's a solid deal for the Boston Celtics. But we'll see. We got until tomorrow. Still no Jimmy Butler trade. And I will be dumbfounded if we get past the deadline and he is still a member of the Miami Heat. Either way, he's not playing. He's not putting on another Miami Heat jersey for the rest of the season, for the rest of his career.
Nobody wants him.
That's the thing. Will someone take him? And I mean, it's so ridiculous because this started as, I want to play anywhere but Miami. Okay, why don't we send you to Memphis? Memphis wants you. No, I don't want to play in Memphis. Okay, well, Golden State will trade for you. They'll give us Andrew Wiggins and some picks, but you got to sign a contract and an extension there. No, I don't really feel like signing the extension. All right, what about what about I don't know. No one else can seem to afford you. Well, what about Phoenix? Nobody wants Bradley Beal's contract. Well, I want to play for Phoenix. Like, what are you doing here, man? Either go where they tell you you're getting traded to, or sit down, shut the hell up, and play basketball. You're making $50 million to live in Miami and play basketball. It can't be that bad.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just it's ridiculous.
I mean, he could potentially cook in Phoenix if he did end up going there.
Yeah, but it's not going to happen. Nobody wants Bradley Beal.
They obviously Devin Booker, Grayson Allen.
Like they might be saying they're listening for trades on KD, but they're not trading KD for Jimmy Butler.
Oh, 100%.
Like that's not happening. They're trying to trade Bradley Beal before Kevin Durant, but nobody wants Bradley Beal's contract. So I don't know. We'll see. There's about 27-ish hours until the trade deadline. So plenty of time still for Pat Riley and the Miami Heat to get something done with Jimmy Butler. I certainly hope they get something done, but I mean, it's also not the worst thing in the world if they do what the LA Clippers did with Paul George and just let him walk. Contract ends, let him walk. You don't need to intake any contracts by doing a trade. You might lose out on some picks and whatnot, but you have plenty of cap space to work with in the offseason. So we'll see what ends up happening. I mean, we'll be able to recap it all if anything happens tonight, tomorrow morning. Yeah. And we'll, if any other rumors start swirling around, we'll have it for you. But before we wrap things up, Bruce, let's take a look at the college basketball scene.
Yes, sir.
As obviously Saturday was a big day around college basketball. A lot of ranked teams falling. We'll just go through the game super quick here. Number 1 Auburn beats number 23 Ole Miss. Duke beats North Carolina by 17. Kansas State upsets Iowa State. Alabama, big win over Georgia. Some team lost to Tennessee. Doesn't really matter who that was. It was the Florida Gators.
Some team lost to Tennessee.
Yeah, it was the Florida Gators. Texas Tech upsets Houston in overtime by 1. USC gets a big upset over Michigan State. That's Michigan State's first loss in Big Ten play.
You mean UCLA?
UConn. Oh, yeah.
You said
UConn gets UConn gets the upset over Marquette. Big win out there for them in the Big East. Baylor upset on Kansas, coming back from down, I think, 19 in the second half. They scored 60 points in the second half, Baylor, in this game, which is just ridiculous. John Calipari in his return to Kentucky with the Arkansas Razorbacks gets the upset win by 10. Texas A&M beats South Carolina. Missouri gets the upset over Mississippi State. St. John's win over Providence. Wisconsin over Northwestern. Georgia Tech upsets Louisville. And Oklahoma upsets Vanderbilt by 30. That was all on Saturday. As we move on here, Sunday, Nebraska gets the upset over Oregon. Memphis beats Rice. Illinois over Ohio State. All right, nothing too crazy. Just Monday night, Kansas defeats Iowa State for their third straight loss, 69-52. So Iowa State, who was at one point the number 3 ranked team in the nation, they might have been as high as number 2. I want to say they were 2 and Duke was 3 for one period of time. But either way, Iowa State, as high as 2 or 3, has now lost 3 straight games in the Big 12. So that's huge for them because they're most likely not making the Big 12 championship now. When Houston and Arizona are both 10-1, Texas Tech at 9-2, Iowa State and Kansas are both tied at 7-4. I mean, Iowa State will certainly still make March Madness. They'll make it in, but they're not going to get the number 1 seed and win the Big 12 at this rate. So big upset there for Kansas. Let's see. Anything last night?
Nothing crazy happened last night. St. John's beat Marquette at MSG. That was a pretty fun game to watch.
Rick Pitino, big win.
Yeah. Auburn's still destroying everybody.
Houston gets the big win over Oklahoma State. Excuse me, as of course I get the hiccups now. Yeah, Florida bounce back win over Vanderbilt.
Ole Miss beat Kentucky. Could have predicted that.
As you mentioned, Michigan State gets their second loss in Big Ten play to UCLA, 63-61.
Yeah, that's why I said UCLA before because I thought you were looking at yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was confused at first, and I was like, "Oh, you know what? Yeah, you're right." On Saturday, it was Michigan State's first loss in the Big Ten play, 2 in a row though. That's certainly rough. I mean, in the Big Ten standings, they're still up there, but Michigan's right behind them at 8-2. Wisconsin's at 8-4. You know, if Michigan State keeps losing games here, they're going to fall out of the Big 12 championship, matchup here pretty quickly. Let's see. Ole Miss gets the upset over Kentucky. So Kentucky has now lost, what is that? Kentucky's lost 2 straight. They've lost 4 of their last 5.
Yeah, I mean, Ole Miss is a good team.
Yeah, they've got some good wins, some good losses. Losing to Alabama and Arkansas and Ole Miss, whatever. The win over Tennessee is pretty huge for them. Lost to Vanderbilt. All right, but Vanderbilt was having a good week, so it makes sense. Yeah, Kentucky just having a rough week, but they played some tough competition, so kind of makes sense. And of course, not a top 25 matchup, but we did have triple overtime yesterday.
Yes, sir.
In the Clemson and Georgia Tech game. As we'll take a look here.
Georgia Tech was in the Littlejohn Coliseum.
Nathan George for Georgia Tech putting together a 28-point performance, 7 assists, 5 rebounds to go alongside that. For Clemson, it was Chase Hunter leading the way with 28.7 rebounds, 5 steals, 4 assists, and 2 blocks. Oh my goodness. Stuff in the stat sheet all across the board, but
bad turnover to end the game. Bad turnover to end the game.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing. Everyone always remembers the bad ones at the end of the game because they're the ones where everyone's got their eyes on it. But
I didn't realize Nathan George shot the ball 26 times. Lance Terry shot the ball 21 times and only put up 12 points.
Jeez, yeah, that's a rough night shooting. Nathan George shot 2 for 10 from deep as well. So the 3-pointers just weren't falling for Georgia Tech, 25% as a team. But
not as many bench minutes from Georgia Tech, and they still came away with the win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, one of those guys off the bench played 49 minutes. That being Duncan Powell.
Yeah, Duncan Powell came in for
19 points. I mean, I'm looking at the box score. I know it was a close game, but I'm looking for anything in the box score that really indicates why Georgia Tech won this game. I guess it would be rebounding. Rebounding is the only thing here that Georgia Tech had a pretty solid lead over Clemson in. I mean, they had 24 offensive rebounds compared to Clemson's 16, 56 overall, won the rebounding battle by 10. So I guess that there's your main
Ngongo and
difference maker
Suarez,
there.
especially in the third overtime, we're just eating O boards. It was crazy.
Yeah,
Like,
7 for
Suarez had
Suarez,
9 points,
6
and I'm
for
pretty sure
Ngongo.
6 of them were in the third overtime.
Oh, it's all about making the plays when they matter most. And
Yeah.
speaking of making plays, where's my basketball at?
Where's your mini ball?
Here we go.
I had to keep it from the Doge.
Yep. Had to hide it from the Doge because she's been eating it up. But before we wrap things up here, of course, gotta get our lucky shot up. I'm feeling good today. Although I don't know, I worked out for the first time in a while yesterday, so the arms are a little bit sore. Let's see.
I think you said that last time.
I did say that last time. Then I took a week off and found myself in the same situation. And we're up. Damn it.
I think if your door was fully closed, that goes in.
You know, it honestly might, but you'll never guess why the door is slightly opened.
Is the dog sleeping on the floor?
No, the dog. You think the dog sleeps on the floor? Come on, she sleeps up on the bed on a fuzzy blanket.
Oh, I didn't know she was just chilling in the doorway.
Yeah, she's just she walked in earlier. She's just chilling right there on the bed. She likes to watch the podcast while we go live. But
fair enough.
Anyways, that'll wrap things up for us here today on the Regular Fan Show. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Like Bruce likes to say, ding that bell if you're on YouTube. Hit the subscribe, hit that like button. You're on TikTok, drop a follow. Same with Twitch. Likes, follows. Only takes a couple seconds, but
Twitter's the
means
gram.
the world to us. Means the world to us. Check it. Yep. Check out the Twitters, the Instagram at the Regular Fan Show, at Regular Fan Show on Twitter. Bruce, we'll do this again tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. It was fun.
Yes, sirski. Sayonara, suckers.
Always a good time. Thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. As Bruce might be out with injury after banging his elbow on his desk. We'll have the injury report for you tomorrow morning on the Regular Fan Show. Thanks, everybody for tuning in. Have a good one. We'll see you tomorrow.